infection kapag Enterobacteriaceae Shea. However, class, divided kasi ito into two categories. Meron kang tinatawag na opportunistic and overt pathogens. When you say overt or primary intestinal pathogen, those are the true pathogens that is not found in our flora. Unlike yung opportunistic, those are bacteria that can be found on our intestine as part of our normal flora. Okay? So we need some of those opportunistic microorganisms for us to maintain what we call healthy gut microbiome. Yung iba naman na opportunistic na yan, wala talaga sa ating intestine, pero nakikita sila sa environment as non-pathogenic. Okay? Ngayon, ang overt pathogen naman, these are the true pathogens na hindi talaga dapat nakita sa intestine mo. Now, once you get that infection, pwede ka magkaroon ng gastroenteritis or systemic infections. Okay? So, those are the overt pathogens. Now, pagdating sa general characteristic ng Enterobacteriaceae, all of them is capable of fermenting glucose. So, para masabi mo na Enterobacteriaceae nga yan, i-check mo muna yung kanyang glucose fermentation. Kapag glucose fermenter, it is possible na that is Enterobacteriaceae. Another characteristic is that it is able to produce the enzyme catalase. Except for the Shigella, it is also oxidase negative except for Plesiomonas. Okay? Now, pagdating naman class sa mga carbohydrate, Enterobacteriaceae can also ferment different carbohydrate. It can also ferment lactose, sucrose, okay, maltose. Others can also ferment other type of carbohydrates din. Okay? So, yan ang characteristic ng mga Enterobacteriaceae. So, pagdating sa carbohydrate fermentation, it is being differentiated into three categories. The first category is the lactose fermenting. The second one is the late lactose fermenting. And the third one is the non-lactose fermenting. So pagdating sa pag-identify ng Enterobacteriaceae, una mo nang ginagawa natin is to check kung ito ba ay glucose fermenting. Kapag glucose fermenting, yes, it can be Enterobacteriaceae. Pangalawa, take a look at the lactose fermentation pattern. Is it lactose fermenter, late lactose, or non-lactose fermenting? Kasi class, by differentiating sa kanya lactose fermentation, pwede mo nang ma-eliminate yung iba pang bacteria. For example, pagdating sa lactose fermentation, tatlo lang yan, class. You have the Klebsiella, you have the Escherichia, and you have the Enterobacter. Again, tatlo lang sila sa lactose fermenting. You have the Klebsiella, Escherichia, and Enterobacter. Tandaan yung keyword na key, K-E-E. Klebsiella, Enterobacter, Escherichia. Those are the only three lactose fermenting. Meron ka namang dalawa na late lactose. Kapag late lactose fermenting, those are your Citrobacter and also your Serratia. Those are the two late lactose fermenting. Yung dalawang laging late, sila Serratia and Citrobacter. And then the rest of the Enterobacteriaceae are non-lactose fermenting. So kapag nag-memorize ka, 5 lang yung minimemorize mo. Diba? 5 lang ang minimemorize mo. Kasi napakarami bacteria dyan sa Enterobacteriaceae. Kung lahat yan i-memorize mo, baliw ka na by the end of the sem. Diba? So again, 5 lang tandaan mo. 3 yung lactose fermenting, K-E-E, Klebsiella, Enterobacter, Escherichia. 2 lang ang late lactose, Citrobacter and Serratia. The rest are non-lactose fermenting. What does it mean kapag sinabi na lactose fermenting? Kapag lactose fermenting class, ibig sabihin noon, if you culture them on the MacConkey agar, they will give you pink colonies like this one. Okay? Kulay pink siya sa MacConkey agar. Yan ay kapag lactose fermenting. Yung mga non-lactose fermenting, they can be colorless or beige like this one. These are the non-lactose fermenting. Okay? Pwedeng colorless or beige. Okay? Yan ang difference ng lactose sa non-lactose fermenting. Kapag naman late lactose, ibig sabihin ng late lactose, within 24 hours of incubation, colorless muna siya. Pero after 24 hours, kapag nag-48 hours na or 72 hours, dun pa lang siya magkakaroon ng pink color. Dun pa lang siya mag-ferment ng lactose. Kaya nga tinawag siyang late lactose eh. And that is the characteristic of your Citrobacter and Serratia. Okay? So doon pa lang sa lactose fermentation, pwede ka na mag-eliminate. Okay? So again pag nagsagot kayo ng major exam, elimination po siya. So pag nakita mo yung mga resulta, positive, negative, mag-eliminate ka. Ay, hindi ito kasi hindi naman yan. Okay? Ganun ang approach natin. So now let's begin with the different diseases naman. Okay. Now, let's start with Citrobacter. So, ang Citrobacter class, kaya tinawag siyang Citrobacter kasi nga, it loves citrate. It utilizes citrate as a source of carbon. Okay? So, that's why it can grow on what you call a Simon citrate medium. Okay, yan ang kanyang characteristic. Now, for the Citrobacter, it has wide range of infection from UTI to wound infection, meningitis, etc. Now, but take a look at the commonly isolated. The commonly isolated species is your Citrobacter frundi that causes UTI and pneumonia. Another one is the Coxsackie that can cause meningitis and brain abscess, and Brachy that is associated with sepsis of patients with cancer. Okay? Those are the three commonly isolated na Citrobacter. Now, ang Citrobacter, besides being late lactose and citrate positive, ano pang kanyang characteristic? Some of the Citrobacter are also H2S positive. When you say H2S positive, ibig sabihin nun, they're able to produce the gas hydrogen sulfide that makes them produce black precipitate in culture. So kapag nag-culture ka ng Citrobacter, meron ka makakita doon ng mga black precipitate. Kasi nga, some of them are H2S positive. They produce the hydrogen sulfide gas. Okay, so tandaan na kapag Citrobacter, late lactose fermenting, citrate positive, and some of them are H2S positive. Okay, so doon sa topic for laboratory, doon i-discuss yung mga different tests to differentiate naman per species. So di-discuss ko pa rin yung sa next PowerPoint. Okay, so next is the Chronobacter. Na Chronobacter class, this is a common contaminant sa mga milk products, sa mga breast milk, infant formula, possible na contaminated yan ng Chronobacter zakazaki. So that's why, kapag ang gatas i-contaminated, nagkakaroon siya ng yellowish color. Because Chronobacter produces a yellow pigment, just like what you see here on the picture. So it metabolizes sialic acid coming from milk, breast milk, or infant formula, mucin and gangliosides. They produce a yellow pigment when incubated at 25 degrees Celsius. So kahit sa room temp, pwedeng dumami si Chronobacter zakazaki. That's why it is a common contaminant sa mga milk, sa mga gatas or infant formula. Okay? Now, next is the Edwardsiella. Class ng Edwardsiella tarda, makikita mo rin naman siya sa tao, sa intestine ng tao. However, class, common kasi ito sa intestine ng mga animals, tulad ng reptiles, fishes, and turtles. Okay? It is actually part of the flora ng mga reptiles. Very rare mo siya makita sa tao. Makikita mo lang siya sa tao kapag nakakain ka ng contaminated food and water. That's why for the Edwardsiella tarda, it is associated with gastroenteritis. So kapag naka-ingest ka niyan, magkakaroon ka ng gastroenteritis or pagtatae or diarrhea. So anong characteristic ni Edwardsiella tarda? Again, this is non-lactose fermenting. Diba? Non-lactose fermenting yan kasi wala siya sa lima na nabanggit ko kanina. Diba? Besides that, it is also H2S positive, just like the Citrobacter. However, ang difference niya sa Citrobacter is that it doesn't grow on the citrate agar. Negative siya sa citrate agar. Okay? Again, similar sila na reaction ni Citrobacter. Edwardsiella is non-lactose fermenting. Pangalawa, it is also H2S positive. However, it doesn't grow on the Simon citrate agar. Yan ang characteristic ni Edwardsiella tarda. Okay? Now, besides gastroenteritis, possible ka rin magkaroon ng wound infections that can lead to sepsis, meningitis, and liver abscess. Yan ang mga complications ng Edwardsiella tarda infection. Okay? Now, let's go to Enterobacter. Again, Enterobacter, part ito ng lactose fermenting. Now, pagdating naman class sa characteristic ng Enterobacter, the colony of that is very similar to the colony of the Klebsiella. Again, ang Klebsiella and Enterobacter, both of them are lactose fermenting. Pareho yan na lactose fermenting. Pagdating naman sa colony, the colonies are also the same. They produce mucoid lactose fermenting colony, both the Enterobacter and the Klebsiella. Another common characteristic na ng dalawa is that they are both citrate positive. So kapag nakakita ka ng reaction na lactose fermenting, mucoid colony, citrate positive, dalawa ang possible na sagot. Either this is Klebsiella or Enterobacter. So anong next mong gagawin? You're going to check for the motility testing. If the bacteria is motile, gumagalaw, then the answer is Enterobacter because most of the Klebsiella are non-motile. So para paghiwalayin mo Enterobacter versus Klebsiella, take a look at the motility testing. Kapag non-motile, it can be Klebsiella. Kapag motile, it can be Enterobacter. So pagdating ng mga klase species ng Enterobacter, meron kang dalawa na commonly isolated. You have Enterobacter aerogenes and Enterobacter cloacae. Now both of them, they commonly cause UTI, urinary tract infection. Okay? Yan ang kanilang significance. UTI, they can also contaminate medical devices such as respirator and medical instruments. Okay? Now, next is your E. coli. Now, class yung E. coli natin. E. coli is actually part of the flora. You need E. coli in your intestine to maintain what we call a healthy gut microbiome. Okay? Now, however, class, sometimes the E. coli, they can cause infection once they leave the intestine. Let's say, nagkaroon ka ng gastrointestinal perforation. Okay? So, from the intestine na pupunta sa blood, causing sepsis. Sometimes it can also cause meningitis kapag naswertehan mo yung strain niya na mayroong capsule, di ba? Doon lang nagiging significant si E. coli. Ano pa? Nagiging significant din si E. coli once the bacteria gains access to your urethra. So after defecating, nilalabas mo yung E. coli. If you are not practicing proper hygiene, possible na from the anus papunta siya sa urethra mo. That's why pwede siya mag-cause ng UTI. That's why, class, E. coli is the most commonly isolated cause of UTI. Okay? Kapag UTI, ang number one answer mo dapat is E. coli na. Okay? So, again, most of them are part of the flora. They are resident biota. Okay? So, ano kanyang general characteristics? Sabi ko nga kanina, they are lactose fermenting. Okay, the E. coli. Now, you can also culture it on the EMB agar. It can give you a greenish metallic sheen on the EMB agar. So, these are the characteristics of your E. coli. Okay. So, sabi ko nga kayo na class, paano mo ma-separate ang Klebsiella, Enterobacter, and E. coli? Una mo natitignan mo is the citrate, di ba? Kapag citrate positive, it can be Enterobacter or Klebsiella. Kapag citrate negative, lactose fermenting citrate negative, ang sagot na doon is E. coli na. Again, kapag E. coli, it is lactose fermenting citrate negative. Negative sa citrate. Negative sa citrate. And indole positive. Ang sagot ay E. coli. Again, lactose fermenting, citrate negative, indole positive. The answer is E. coli. Okay? Yun ang kanyang mga distinguishing characteristics. So, no need to memorize the rest. Okay? Now, okay. So, again, meron tayo mga pathogenic serotype ng E. coli. Okay? So, normally, class, ang E. coli, hindi talaga siya dapat pathogen kasi nga part siya ng flora. Pero meron mga serotype na pathogenic tulad ng UPEC. The UPEC, that is the one that commonly causes UTI. Another one is the MNEC. Ang MNEC nga, class, sa ibang libro, ang tawag din dito ay KI positive, KI capsule positive. Okay? Class, tandaan nyo, lahat ng E. coli wala silang capsule. Lahat ng E. coli walang capsule except for the MNEC. MNEC, also known as the KI capsule positive strain. Okay? And since meron silang capsule, ano magiging sakit? Again, it can cause sepsis and meningitis. Okay? Kasi nga, meron siyang capsule. So, it can cause sepsis and meningitis. That is the MNEC or the KI positive capsule. Okay? Now, these are the extraintestinal pathogen. Pag hindi naman kasi mga intestinal pathogen, since intestinal yan, ano magiging sakit niya? Magiging sakit ay gastroenteritis. Kasi nga, intestinal pathogen sila, di ba? Okay. So, magkakaroon yung pasyente mo ng watery diarrhea that can have blood or wala. Yung iba naman, may leukocyte ang stool, yung iba wala. Okay? It depends on the serotype. Okay? So, you have the different serotype. Meron kang ESTEC. Ang dating tawag dito is the EHEC. Ang lumanyang pangalan is the EHEC. Ngayon, ESTEC na. You have the ETEC, the EPEC, EIEC, and the EAEC. Those are the serotype that causes gastroenteritis ng E. coli. Okay? So, isa-isahin natin siya. So, the first one is the ESTEC, formerly known as EHEC. EHEC, kasi nga, this is also known as enterohemorrhagic E. coli. Enterohemorrhagic E. coli or the serotoxigenic E. coli. Okay? So, ang kanyang subtype, ang kanyang specific serotype is O157H7. That is the one that causes the HUS, or what you call hemolytic uremic syndrome, together with hemorrhagic diarrhea and colitis. So anong characteristic ng HUS? When you say HUS class, ibig sabihin noon, nagkakaroon ka class ng kidney failure, okay, because of the infection, okay? So, the bacteria can go up to your kidney, causing kidney failure. That can lead to hemolytic anemia and low platelet count. So, nagkakaroon ka ng bleeding. Now, HUS is very dangerous, nakakamatay siya class. That is the most virulent strain of the E. coli, the O157H7, that can cause the HUS. Kapag naman hemorrhagic diarrhea and colitis, ibig sabihin noon, meron kang bloody diarrhea. Bakit nagiging bloody yung diarrhea mo? Because of the cytotoxin, virotoxin 1 and virotoxin 2. This cytotoxin, they tend to attach to the villi, they have villi that attaches to the mucosa of your intestine. Okay? So yung bacteria na yan, the S-tech or the EHEC, meron siyang villi na kakapit doon sa mucosa ng intestine mo. Once nakakapit na siya, it will now release cytotoxin known as virotoxin 1 and virotoxin 2. Now, the effect of this cytotoxin is similar to that with the effect of the Shigella toxin. Kaya tinawag siyang Shiga-like toxin. Okay? Now, ano nga bang effect niyan? Once kumapit siya sa mucosa mo, sa intestine, it will now tend to destroy the cells of your mucosa. That's why meron kang bloody diarrhea. Okay? Nagkakaroon ka class ng bloody diarrhea dyan as a consequence. Now, besides the bloody diarrhea, the stool contains no leukocyte. That is the one that differentiates them from dysentery caused by the Shigella. Okay? Again, hemorrhagic diarrhea. So, meron kang bloody diarrhea and colitis. However, the stool does not have any leukocytes at all. Yan ang characteristic ni O157H7, also known as S-tech or EHEC. Okay? Now, for the E. coli naman class, O157H7, how do you differentiate it from the rest of the E. coli? You have two tests na pwedeng gawin. Either culture it on the sorbitol McConkey agar or perform the MUG assay. Take note class na between the two tests, the result of the bacteria will be negative. Meaning, sa SMAC, it will give you colorless colony. Whereas the rest of the E. coli will have pink colony. So kapag normal E. coli, pink sa sorbitol McConkey agar. Pero kapag O157H7, colorless sila sa sorbitol McConkey agar. Okay? And then for the MUG assay class, lahat ng E. coli, they will give you electric blue fluorescence. Except for the O157, they will give you no fluorescence. Again, for the MUG assay, no fluorescence for the E. coli O157H7. Okay? So next is the ETEC. ETEC, known as the enterotoxigenic E. coli that causes traveler's diarrhea. So when you say traveler's diarrhea class, nakukuha mo ito from eating contaminated food and drinking contaminated water. Okay? Kasi class, may mga lugar na yung kanilang water system is connected sa kanilang sewage. So ibig sabihin noon yung tubig nila may halong tae. So pag nainom mo yung tubig na yon, magtatae ka talaga, di ba? Kasi nga, contaminated ng human feces yung kanilang tubig, okay? Kaya tinawag siyang traveler's diarrhea. So what will happen to you? You're going to have profuse watery stool. That is a characteristic of your ETEC or traveler's diarrhea. So meron siyang villi that will attach to the intestinal mucosa. Meron siyang mga enterotoxin that can cause the watery diarrhea. Paano ka nagkakaroon ng watery diarrhea? This enterotoxin will destroy the lining of your intestinal mucosa, causing glucose malabsorption. Kaya dumadami yung fluid, that's why nagkakaroon ka ng watery diarrhea. Okay? Next is the EIEC. For the EIEC naman, this is known to cause dysentery. Okay. So when you say dysentery class, it means that the manifestation is similar to that with Shigella. Magkamukha sila na manifestation. However, class, the presence of since magkamukha sila na manifestation, the presentation is the same. They produce watery to bloody diarrhea. Okay, meron kang bloody diarrhea, and then the fecal leukocytes are also abundant. And you're going to experience abdominal pain since ito ay kamukha ng Shigella. Okay? So this is an infection that can occur both sa adults and children. Next is the EPIC. For the EPIC class, this is known to cause infantile diarrhea or chronic diarrhea in children. Okay? So ano lang kanyang characteristic? The stool contains large amount of mucus, however, blood is not present. Wala siyang bloody diarrhea. For the enteroaggregative naman class, or enteroadherent E. coli, dalawang klase siya class. Meron ka tinatawag na DAEC and EAEC. So kapag DAEC, that is the enteroadherent E. coli. For the EAEC, that is the enteroaggregative E. coli. Okay? So for the two types, for the DAEC, it causes UTI and diarrhea. It also causes recurring UTI. For the EAEC, it causes gastroenteritis, particularly sa mga HIV individual. Okay? Now, ang kanyang characteristic is that meron kang watery diarrhea. However, white blood cells and red blood cells are absent from the stool. Yan ang characteristic ni EAEC. So those are the pathogenic E. coli. Now, on this table, nakalagay dito yung mga sinabi ko rin kanina. So naka-itemize ano ang mga virulence factor plus the diseases that they cause. So summary lang yun ang mga sinabi ko. Also this one. Okay? Yan. So let's go to Hafnia. Now for the Hafnia alveoli naman class, ang Hafnia, this is found in the environment. Hindi siya normal class na nakukuha natin. Again sa environment ang Hafnia alveoli. Okay? So you can get this by ingesting contaminated foods such as meat and dairy products. So anong characteristic ni Hafnia alveoli? It has a delayed citrate positive reaction. Again, for the Hafnia alveoli, it has a delayed citrate positive reaction. Yan ang characteristic ni Hafnia alveoli. Okay. Now let's go to the Klebsiella. So ang Klebsiella class, sabi ko nga kanina, ang Klebsiella class, it is also lactose fermenting. Lactose fermenting. Most of them can grow in Simon citrate agar. Okay? However, most of them are non-motile. Motility is variable. Ibig sabihin, merong non-motile, merong ding motile. So that's why this is the feature of the Klebsiella, the motility. Okay? Now, besides that, it also has a capsule. May capsule siya. Kaya nga, class, it produces mucoid colonies. Okay? Gumagawa siya ng mucoid colony kasi nga, meron siyang capsule. Yan ang characteristic ni Klebsiella. Now, the most commonly isolated is of course the Klebsiella pneumoniae. Kapag Klebsiella pneumoniae, ano kayang sakit? It causes pneumonia. However, class, it commonly causes UTI as compared sa pneumonia. Okay? Yes, it can cause pneumonia kahit tinawag siyang pneumonia. Pero class, sa clinical, it causes more of the UTI as compared sa pneumonia. Bakit class? Kasi Klebsiella pneumoniae is part of the flora. So kapag dumudumi ka, naiwan siya sa anus mo. So kapag hindi ka nag-practice ng proper hygiene, from the anus, it can go to your urethra, causing UTI, just like the E. coli. Kaya nga, mas common siya nagkukos ng UTI as compared sa pneumonia. Paano ka magkaka-pneumonia nito? Magkaka-pneumonia ka from Klebsiella pneumoniae if it is able to go to your bloodstream. Pupunta siya sa blood mo, causing sepsis, and then it will travel pupunta sa lungs mo. That happens during gastrointestinal perforation. Okay? So, again, it has a capsule that makes it moist mucoid colony, just like this one. Meron kang moist mucoid colony for the Klebsiella pneumoniae. Okay? Now, meron kang mga variant ng mga Klebsiella. Okay? Now, for the Klebsiella pneumoniae, you have here the CC23K1 variant that is known to cause pyogenic liver abscess. And then the other one is the CC82K1 that is known to cause severe pneumonia and bloodstream infections. Okay? Now, for the Oxytocin naman, it is known to cause self-limiting antibiotic-associated hemorrhagic colitis. Yung iba, the rhinoscleromatis and ozone, associated siya sa upper respiratory tract infection. So kapag nose ang affected, ang tawag ay rhinoscleroma, caused by the rhinoscleromatis. Pwede rin ang atrophic rhinitis or the ozona, caused by the Klebsiella ozone. Okay? Now, kapag rhinoscleroma, ano nangyayari sa'yo? Nagkakaroon ka ng swelling and malformation of the entire face and neck. So affected siya. Okay? That is for the rhinoscleroma infection. Now, meron pa tayo titawag na Rautelia. However, class, itong Rautelia kasi related siya sa Klebsiella. Ang difference lang is that the Rautelia is more found sa environment as compared sa mga tao. Kaya nga tinawag siyang Rautelia planticola, di ba? Kasi nga nakikita siya sa environment. Okay? So if ever you encounter the Rautelia, it can be isolated from the urine, respiratory tract, and also blood of humans. Now the question is, how do you differentiate the different Klebsiella? Paano sila paghiwa-hiwalayin? Okay. So ito yung ating significant na Klebsiella. So una muna, again, sabi ko nga kanina, take a look at the lactose fermentation, di ba? It is lactose fermenter. So dito sa lactose, lahat siya ay positive. Okay? Now, another one is the citrate medium. For the citrate medium, lahat siya ay positive. Kapag letter D, ibig sabihin nun delayed. Positive lang yan, pero delayed lang. Okay? Now, next is, besides the citrate, ang next mo titingnan is the motility, right? For the motility, again, Klebsiella pneumoniae is non-motile sa mga yan. Okay? Also, this one, the ozone, non-motile din. So how do you separate the three? Una mo muna titignan is the indole reaction. Ihiwalay mo muna si oxytocin. So kapag indole positive, the answer is Klebsiella oxytocin na. Again, indole positive, the answer is Klebsiella oxytocin. Okay? Now how about for the pneumoniae, subspecies pneumoniae versus the ozone? The thing you're going to take a look at is the MR-VP reaction. Okay. Now, for the MR ng pneumoniae, variable. However, the VP is positive. Now, for the Klebsiella ozonei naman, the MR or the methyl red is positive and the VP is negative. So, to differentiate them, tingnan mo yung MR-VP reaction. MR stands for methyl red, VP stands for Voges-Boscauer. Kapag MR positive, VP negative, the answer is Klebsiella ozonei, this one. Okay? So yun class sa mga tasatitin mo to differentiate the Klebsiella. So si oxytocin, madali siyang ihiwalay. Basta indole positive, oxytocin na ang sagot. Okay? Kapag indole negative, ano titingnan mo? MR-VP. Kapag MR positive, VP negative, ang sagot ay ozone. Kapag kabaliktaran, ang sagot ay pneumonia. Okay? Now, for the Enterobacter naman, how do you separate Enterobacter from Klebsiella? Sabi ko nga kanina, motility testing. Kapag non-motile, the answer is pneumonia. Kapag naman motile, the answer is Enterobacter. And how do you separate Enterobacter cloacae from Enterobacter aerogenes? Take a look at the Lysine carboxylase test. If it is Lysine carboxylase negative, the answer is cloacae. If it is Lysine carboxylase positive, the answer is aerogenes. Again, class ha, sa exam natin sa midterm exam, lahat yung mga yan nakalatag. Pag gumawa kami ng questions, nakalatag yung mga result niyan. Positive, negative, positive, negative. So again, hindi mo kailangan i-memorize lahat. Sinasabi ko lang sa inyo, take note of the distinguishing characteristic. Okay, na sinasabi ko dito. Okay? Para masagutan niyo yung exam. Next is the Morganella. Class A Morganella, bahagi siya ng grupo na tinatawag na PMP group. PMP stands for Proteus, Morganella, and Providencia. Okay? So ano ba yung mga PMP group na yan? Para maging part ka ng PMP group, meron kang isang common characteristic. Now, ang mga PMP group, they are all, so ito sila, ito ang PMP group natin. They are all phenylalanine deaminase positive. Now, this enzyme, the PAD, or phenylalanine deaminase, kapag nag-positive yan, tatlo yung possible mong sagot. Either Proteus, Providencia, or Morganella, or what you call the PMP group. Okay? Ngayon, paano mo sila paghihiwa-hiwalayan? After mo makita yung kanyang pagiging phenylalanine deaminase positive, again, PMP group niyan ha. Ang next mo titingnan is the H2S production. Kapag H2S positive, gumagawa ng hydrogen sulfide, ibig sabihin yan, you have Proteus. Proteus na class ang sagot. Basta H2S positive, Proteus na class ang sagot. Okay? How about Providencia versus Morganella? Take a look at the citrate reaction. Asa na yung citrate? Ito. Kapag citrate negative, ang sagot is Morganella. Kapag citrate positive, ang sagot is Providencia. Okay? So dun pa lang, sa mga 3 simple tests, pwede mo na siyang ma-differentiate. Again kapag Proteus, yan ay H2S positive. Kapag Providencia, citrate positive. Kapag Morganella, citrate negative. Okay. So, ang tanong dyan, how to separate Proteus mirabilis from vulgaris? Take a look at the indole production. Kapag indole negative, ang sagot is mirabilis. Indole positive, the answer is vulgaris. Another one is the decarboxylase ornithine test, the ornithine test. For the ornithine, if it is positive, the answer is mirabilis. If it is negative, the answer is vulgaris. So doon lang sa mga test na yan, pwede mo nang ma-differentiate yung dalawang approaches natin. Okay? For the providencia naman class, differentiating them is not significant. Kasi nga, pagdating sa clinical approach, you can actually just report this as providencia species. Kasi nga class, madi-differentiate mo naman sila based on the clinical infection that they can cause. Okay? So hindi natin siya chinecheck for differentiation. Again, magkakapareho sila ng mga resulta ang providencia. But for the Morganella, it is citrate negative. Okay? So that is for the PMP group. So let's go back to Morganella. Now, Morganella morgani, this is part of the flora of your intestine. It is part of the normal flora. That's why, if you isolate Morganella morgani found on the stool, we commonly consider this as just a contaminant. Contaminant lang siya, hindi siya clinical significant kapag nakita mo siya sa stool. However, class, kapag nakita mo siya sa patient na merong UTI or sepsis, doon siya nagiging significant. So it can cause UTI and neonatal sepsis. Again, kapag sa stool mo siya nakita, hindi siya yung cause ng sakit. Associated lang siya. Kapag associated, ibig sabihin, napasama lang siya doon. Pero hindi siya yung nag-cause ng sakit. Okay? Kasi nga, part siya ng flora. So kapag dumudumi ka, naglalabas ka talaga ng Morganella morgani. Okay? Lahat tayo, meron tayong Morganella morgani sa ating stool. Okay? However, kapag napunta siya sa urine, it causes UTI. Kapag napunta sa blood, it can cause neonatal sepsis. Yan ang kanyang significance. Okay? Now, for the Pantoia, another environmental isolate. Common ito class sa mga halaman sa soil. Kaya nga hindi siya if you isolate Pantoia, this is considered as a contaminant. Okay? Hindi siya ganun ka-significant. Okay? Now, for the Plesiomonas, let's go to Plesiomonas. Okay pa kayo, class? Anyway, ayan. So, for the Plesiomonas naman, class, this is a pathogen that can be found sa aquatic environment. Tandaan nyo, class, kapag Plesiomonas, nakikita yan either sa freshwater or estuarine. Kapag estuarine, ito yung part kung saan nagtatagpo yung tubig dagat at tubig tabang. So doon nakikita sa Plesiomonas. Okay? Now, si Plesiomonas, tandaan nyo, lagi siya may kasama. Kapag na-isolate mo si Plesiomonas, ma-isolate mo rin si Aeromonas. Plesiomonas and Aeromonas are always together at the same environment. Okay? Kasi nga, pareho ito nakukuha mo sa tubig, aquatic environment, either freshwater or estuarine water. Okay? So anong test ang gagawin mo to separate Aeromonas from Plesiomonas? You have to perform the DNase test. DNase test. Again, Aeromonas is DNase positive, Plesiomonas is DNase negative. Okay? Now the next question is, how do you separate Plesiomonas from the rest of the Enterobacteriaceae? Take note that Plesiomonas is the only oxidase-positive member of the Enterobacteriaceae. Lahat ng Enterobacteriaceae oxidase negative except for Plesiomonas shigelloides. So kapag yan ay Enterobacteriaceae, glucose fermenting, tapos oxidase positive, ang sagot mo na is Plesiomonas shigelloides. For the other testing, you may also perform susceptibility to O129. Okay? And of course, DNase is negative. Yan ang mga test to confirm for Plesiomonas shigelloides. So anong klaseng infection? Gastroenteritis pa rin, plus pagtatai pa rin. So magkakaroon ka ng watery secretory diarrhea. However, class, the diarrhea is chronic. Aabot ng 3 buwan. Diba? Imagine, 3 months ka nagtatae. Ganong klaseng effect ni Plesiomonas shigelloides. Magtatae ka for 3 months. 14 days, 2 to 3 months na pagtatae. Yan ang characteristic ni Plesiomonas shigelloides. Okay? Yun. So, hinang-hina ka na pagdating dyan. Pero class, most cases ng Plesiomonas naman are self-limiting. Okay? Wherein, magtatai ka lang for a few days tapos gagaling ka na. However, class, kapag napunta sa'yo yung nasweltehan mo ang chronic diarrhea, na 3 buwan nagtatai ka, kailangan mo na talaga ng antibiotic dyan. Antibiotic therapy is indicated sa severe or prolonged cases. Yan ang characteristic ni Plesiomonas shigelloides. Okay? So after Plesiomonas, we have Proteus. Yeah. So for the Proteus naman class, Okay, so meron kang dalawang species. You have the Proteus vulgaris and Proteus mirabilis. So sinasabi ko na kayo ng kanilang characteristic, di ba? Meron siyang H2S, it produces H2S. Ang mga Proteus, plus it is phenylalanine deaminase positive. Besides that, Proteus also produces what they call swarming phenomena. So ang Proteus kasi class, sobrang motile sila, ang bilis-bilis nila. That's why kapag nag-form na sila ng colony, some of them from the colony tends to swarm, nag-swimming na sila agad, excited to form another colony. Ang tawag dyan ay swarming phenomena. Okay? So from the colony na existing, yung iba sa kanya, nag-i-spread na ulit to form another colony. Okay? That is what you call the swarming phenomena. Kapag swarming, ang sagot dyan is Proteus na class. Proteus kapag swarming, like this one. Swarming, Proteus na yan. Besides that, meron siyang odor, burnt chocolate or chocolate cake odor. Another characteristic ng Proteus is, it will degrade urea rapidly. It is rapid urease positive. Ibig sabihin nun, within 2 hours, it can degrade urea. Anong significance niya? Tandaan nyo class ha, ang Proteus, ang sakit niya is UTI. Bakit siya pwede mag-cause ng UTI? Okay? And then class, yung UTI kasi na binibigyan niya sa tao, it can lead to pyelonephritis or what you call the upper UTI that can cause struvite or kidney stone formation. So nagkakaroon siya ng kidney stones. So meron ka ng UTI with kidney stone. That is courtesy of the Proteus mirabilis. Okay? Bakit ka nagkakaroon ng kidney stone kapag tinamaan ka ni Proteus mirabilis? Kasi nga class, ang Proteus mirabilis, it is rapid urease positive. Ano bang meron sa ihi mo? Ang ihi mo ay merong urea. Diba? Ang ihi natin, meron tayong urea. Okay? Yung urea na yan, paborito yan ni Proteus mirabilis. Ang gagawin niya, maglalabas siya ng urease enzyme, agad-agad, within 2 hours, kaya niyang i-degrade yung urea sa urine mo. Kapag na-degrade niya yung urea, it will be reduced into ammonia. At yung ammonia na yan, mag-react yan sa calcium, sa katawan mo, leading to kidney stone or renal calculi. Kaya nagkakaroon ka ng kidney stone kapag meron kang Proteus mirabilis infection because of the rapid urease activity of the Proteus mirabilis. Okay? Isa naman si Proteus vulgaris, UTI din naman, pero hindi siya nag-lead sa kidney stone. Okay? Yung normal lang na UTI. Okay? Yung iba naman, diarrhea ang sakit and sepsis. So pwede rin diarrhea or sepsis for the mirabilis, also the vulgaris. Okay? So, again, to differentiate them, take a look at the indole test and the ornithine test. So, mirabilis is indole negative, ornithine positive, kabaliktaran ng reaction ni vulgaris. Vulgaris is indole and vulgaris is indole positive, ornithine negative. Okay? Yan ang kanilang difference. Yung isa si Peneri, hindi naman yung commonly isolated, di ba? It can be isolated from patient diarrhea or UTI, pero again, hindi pa siya proven yung role niya sa diarrhea, di ba? Kasi nga, ano lang yan, ang Peneri class, environmental isolate lang yan. Yung dalawa talaga na significant na clinical is the mirabilis and the vulgaris. Sila yung significant pathogen mo dyan. Okay? So that is for the Proteus. O yung Providencia naman. For the Providencia class, okay, so for the Providencia, it can cause UTI. Na-isolated siya sa feces ng children with diarrhea. Pero class ha, hindi siya yung cause ng diarrhea. Associated lang siya. Kasi nga, part siya ng flora. Okay? And then also, meron kang different species. Ang commonly isolated is the Rydgeri, Stuarti, and Alkali fasciens. For Rydgeri, associated with UTI and diarrhea. Stuarti, associated with burn wound infection. Alkali fasciens, commonly found sa stool ng children with diarrhea. Okay? So ang Providencia class, it is more of an environmental microorganism. Hindi talaga siya common na pathogen ang Providencia. Okay. So now let's go to Serratia. So Serratia class, sabi ko kanina, ito ay late lactose fermenting. Ibig sabihin noon, kailangan niya ng more than 24 hours bago siya mag-ferment ng lactose. Okay? So that is the Serratia. So for the Serratia, you have one significant pathogen here. You have the Serratia marcescens. Now for the Serratia marcescens class, ano kanyang characteristic? It produces the red pigment prodigiosin. Like this one, you can see the colonies are color red because of the pigment prodigiosin. Okay. So besides producing the prodigiosin pigment, it also produces the DNase enzyme and ONPG positive. Okay? It is DNase positive and ONPG positive. Yan ang mga confirmatory test for Serratia. Again, kapag Serratia, tandaan nyo, late lactose fermenting plus DNase positive o NPG positive. Ang sagot dyan, Serratia na agad-agad. Okay? Kapag binanggit din na meron kang red pigment doon, ang sagot is the Serratia marquescens. Okay? Yung isa pang Serratia natin, the Serratia odorifera, it has a dirty, musty odor resembling rotten potato. However, class, this is not commonly isolated. Very rare lang yan. Ang ating common pathogen is of course the Serratia marquescens. Okay? Yan ang common pathogen natin. So anong significance sa Serratia marquescens? This bacteria is commonly found sa water, sa tubig, siya nakikita. That's why it can contaminate IV solutions. It can contaminate IV solution, IV fluids, and other medical solutions. Kasi nga, nakukuha siya sa tubig. Okay? You can also find that contaminating medical catheters, respirators as well. Okay? So yan lang ang class ng significance ni Serratia marquescens. Now, let's go to the primary intestinal pathogen. Ito yung tinatawag natin na SSY or the Salmonella, Shigella, and Yersinia. Okay. Simulan muna natin kay Salmonella. Saan natin nakukuha sa Salmonella, class? Again, maraming ways kung paano ka magkaroon ng Salmonella. Una-una, pwedeng nakakain ka ng food contaminated with feces. Okay? Paano nakakontaminate ng feces yung pagkain? Okay. If you eat a food prepared by a person na carrier ng salmonella. Ibig sabihin ng class, yung nagluto ng pagkain, may salmonella siya mismo. Kaya ka nahawa ng salmonella. That's one way na magkaroon ng salmonella. Pangalawa, kumain ka ng undercooked chicken. Kasi class, ang salmonella, talaga nakikita yan sa mga manok. Or kumain ka ng infected eggs. Yung egg na may salmonella. Okay? Kaya nga class, kapag kumakain kayo ng manok, make sure na malinis talaga siya. Diba? Kasi nga, meron siyang salmonella. Okay? Ngayon, kailangan siyang lutuin ng mabuti and linisin ng mabuti. So again, nakukuha siya sa chicken, sa eggs, or kapag kumain ka ng food prepared by someone na merong salmonella rin or carrier ng salmonella. That's how you get the salmonella infection. Okay? So anong characteristic sa salmonella? Again, it is non-lactose fermenting. Non-lactose fermenting yan. Pangalawa, pagdating sa mga biochemical reaction, they will give you negative result except for two parameters. It is only positive for citrate test and it produces H2S. Doon lang siya magiging positive, okay? Sa citrate reaction plus hydrogen sulfide production, doon lang siya magiging positive. The rest of the result niya, negative na. Walang reaction sa mga different tests. So, meron kang dalawang species. Meron kang enterica that commonly causes humans, yung iba naman, bongori that can be found sa mga animals. Okay? So, how do you differentiate the salmonella? Ang salmonella class, meron siya mga different serotype. Meron kang serotype typhi, paratyphi, cholera suis. Now, yung mga typhi, paratyphi, cholera suis na yan, those are the serotype that can cause systemic disease, wherein meron kang gastroenteritis that can spread to your body. Okay? So, paano siya kumakalat sa katawan niyo? So, again, once you're able to ingest the infected food, ingest the contaminated food, okay? Kapag nakain mo ng contaminated food, una muna, it can cause gastroenteritis muna. Gastroenteritis, okay? And then you're going to have fever. Kapag naka-fever na, ibig sabihin noon, pupunta na siya class sa blood. Kapag nasa blood na siya, kakalat na siya sa different organs of your body. Kaya nga class, nakakarating siya sa gallbladder mo. Okay? So once naka-recover ka from the salmonella, gagaling ka naman. However class, some salmonella remain viable in your gallbladder. So from the gallbladder, it can travel back to your intestine. That's why, kapag dumudumi ka, nilalabas mo pa rin si salmonella. Ang tawag doon ay carrier state. Again, paano ka naging carrier? Naging carrier ka kapag nagkasakit ka ng typhoid fever. Okay? Tapos, gumaling ka. However, class, yung bacteria mo sa katawan, hindi siya lahat naubos. Some of the salmonella remain in your gallbladder. And then from the gallbladder, it commonly migrates again to your intestine. Nag-replicate ulit siya doon. That's why tuwing dumudumi ka, naglalabas ka ng salmonella. So if you are a carrier ng salmonella, hindi ka pwede magluto ng food para sa iba. Kasi nga, your hands can be contaminated with salmonella. So pwede mong ipasa yung salmonella sa ibang tao habang nagluluto ka. Okay? Yan ang tinatawag na carrier state ng salmonella or what you call the Typhoid Mary. Okay? So again, that is the story of the carrier state of Salmonella. So going back to the infection, again, if it is being caused with Salmonella typhi, the disease is called typhoid fever, wherein you're going to have headache, abdominal cramping, constipation, and high fever. Okay? Once you have the infection, ang tawag dyan is salmonellosis. Salmonellosis is characterized by gastroenteritis or food poisoning that is characterized by vomiting and diarrhea. Now, typhoid fever has a more severe form known as enteric fever. This is being caused by, again, the serotype typhi. Besides the typhi, pwede rin ang serotype paratyphi and cholera suis. Ito yung pwede mag-cause ng bacteremia. Now, sometimes, meron ka rin mga non-typhoidal bacteremia type. Okay? So, those are the salmonella. So, ayan. So, anong kanyang general characteristic? Again, negative siya sa mga result, except for the citrate test and H2S. Okay, yan ang characteristic ni Salmonella. Again, most produced H2S except for Salmonella paratyphi, which is negative for the H2S. Siya lang plus ang exception, this one. But most of them are H2S positive, except for one. Okay. So, again, let's go back to the enteric fever. Again, kapag enteric fever, meron kang prolonged fever and bacteremia that can spread to your system. It can go to your rest. Can kumakalat siya sa liver, spleen, intestine, and mesentery. It can disseminate to your different organs hanggang makarating siya sa gallbladder. So ito yung kinukwento ko kanina. Nakarating sa gallbladder, kaya nagiging ikaw ay isang chronic carrier ng salmonella. Okay? Now, anong mga signs na may salmonella ka? Meron kang typhoid fever. So again, meron kang fever, di ba? Mali, anorexia, lethargy. Yan. And continuous dull frontal headache. Yan ang characteristic ni typhoid fever. Besides that, pag inangat mo yung kanyang damit, may kita mo, meron siyang rose spots on the abdomen. Okay? Doon sa bandang umbilical cord niya or umbilical region ng bata, meron siyang mga red papules doon, or what you call the rose spots on the abdomen. Yan ang sign ng typhoid fever. Okay? So again, it can commonly caused by typhi, pero pwede siyang i-cause ni typhimurium, paratyphi, and cholera suis. That is the salmonella. So this is what the colony looks like. Paano mag-culture ng salmonella? You need a selective medium. The selective medium here can either be the XLD or the SSA. Kapag SSA stands for Salmonella and Shigella agar. Or XLD, that stands for Xylose lysine desoxycholate agar. As you can see, class, the colonies are red. You have red colony with black precipitate kasi nga meron siyang H2S. Itong mga black na yan, ito yung kanyang H2S. Pero yung periphery ng colony niya, color red. Red colonies with black H2S. That is Salmonella. Okay? For the chrome agar, this is what it looks like. Meron siyang purplish pink colonies on the chrome agar. Now, let's go to Shigella. So, saan ka, class, nakakuha ng Shigella, class? Actually, class, ang Shigella, nakukuha mo to through poor hygiene. Okay? Tandaan nyo, class, nung bata ka pa lang, tinuruan ka ng mga magulang mo na bago ka kumain ng pagkain, dapat naghugas ka ng kamay. Bakit, class? Because Shigella, you can get that from your dirty fingers. So, possible, class, na may nahawakan ka madumi sa labas, tapos, nung nagkamay ka, nakain mo, kaya nagkaroon ka ng Shigella. Or, yung kinakain mong pagkain, nadapuan ng langaw. Okay? Kasi nga yung mga langaw, dumadapo sa tae, di ba? Saan ba nagagaling yung langaw? Sa mga tae, right? Dumadapo sila sa tae. O, tapos yung langaw, dadapo sa pagkain mo, edi may tae na rin yung pagkain mo. So, pag kinain mo yon, magkakaroon ka ng Shigella infection. Okay? So, that's how you get Shigella. Either, madumi yung pagkain mo, madumi yung kamay mo, nagkamay ka habang kumakain, or yung kinain mo, nadapuan ng langaw na nanggaling sa tae. That's how you get Shigella, okay? Plus, your water is also contaminated. So, yung tubig nyo dyan, malapit siya sa, yung plumbing nyo, wala kayong proper na plumbing, na nakokontaminate siya ng water na may feces din. Okay? That's how you get Shigella. So, anong tawag sa sakit? Ang sakit is known as shigellosis. What will happen to you? Magkakaroon ka klase ng diarrhea na sobrang sakit. Meron kang dysentery, known as watery diarrhea with blood. May blood siya, class, okay? Bloody, watery diarrhea with abdominal cramp. Sobrang sakit ng tiyan kapag meron kang Shigella infection. So kapag nagkaroon ka ng Shigella dysentery type 1, meron ka pang complication na pwede mangyari sa'yo. Kapag type 1 ang napunta sa'yo, this one, the Shigella dysentery type 1, possible magkaroon ka ng HUS or hemolytic uremic syndrome. Okay, that is for the Shigella dysentery type 1. Yung iba naman, Shigella sonnei, ito yung maswerte ka. Kasi kapag ganito, self-limiting diarrhea lang yan. So magtatai ka lang for 1 day or 2 days, tapos okay na. Di ba? Walang halos, nagtai ka lang, di ba? Shigella sonnei lang yun, class, di ba? Pero kapag Shigella dysentery type 1, ito yung bloody diarrhea that can lead to HUS or hemolytic uremic syndrome. Ito yung delikado. This is the one that causes the bacillary dysentery. Kapag dysentery, meron kang blood on the stool, mucus, and pus on the stool. Yan ang characteristic. At nakikita ito sa mga bata. Bakit mga bata? Kasi sila yung mga pasaway na kumakain na hindi naghugas ng kamay. Okay? Kaya nga common yan sa mga young children in daycare center, particularly infants younger than 1 year of age are the most susceptible. Okay? Kasi nga, at saka yung mga bata, plus lagi nilang sinusubo yung kamay nila sa kanilang bibig, di ba? Kaya nagkakaroon sila ng diarrhea. Okay? Ayun. So, personal hygiene is a major role sa transmission ng Shigella. Kaya kailangan magugas ng kamay. Okay. Ano pa? So, again, kapag meron ka Shigella, ang tawag doon ay shigellosis. It is highly communicable. 100 bacilli lang, pwede ka nang ma-infect ng Shigella. So, anong manifestation mo? Meron kang, yung iba, asymptomatic lang. Yung iba naman, meron ka lang watery diarrhea na self-limiting, di ba? Yung iba, meron ka pang fever, chill, abdominal cramp, and pain, accompanied by tenesmus, approximately 24 to 48 hours from the time na kumain ka nung contaminated food. Okay? So that's how ito class ang feeding na meron kang Shigella infection. Okay? So that is Shigella. So anong kanyang distinguishing characteristic? You may also culture it on the Salmonella Shigella agar or the XLD. It can give you red colonies. However, the colonies are clear. Wala siyang H2S. Yan ang kanyang difference kay Salmonella. Si Salmonella merong H2S, si Shigella wala siyang H2S. Like this one. Okay? Clear lang yung kanyang colony, wala siyang mga hydrogen sulfide. Also this one. Clear colony, walang hydrogen sulfide. Okay? Yan ang characteristic ni Shigella. Now, let's go to Yersinia. So, tatlo kasi Yersinia, ha? Meron ka Yersinia pestis, enterocolitica, and pseudotuberculosis. Ito mga to, nakukuha mo ito sa mga animals. Okay. So, for the Yersinia, class, tandaan mo, to differentiate Yersinia from the rest of the E. coli, it is the only, from the rest of the Enterobacteriaceae. Again, to differentiate Yersinia from the rest of the Enterobacteriaceae, it is the only bacteria on the Enterobacteriaceae that can grow up to 4 degrees Celsius. So variable yung kanyang temperature. Pwedeng 4 degrees, yung iba naman pwedeng 43 degrees Celsius. So pwede sa malamig, pwede sa sobrang init. Yan ang characteristic ni Yersinia na different from the rest of the Enterobacteriaceae. The rest of the Enterobacteriaceae, gusto nila 35 to 37 degrees. Yun ang kanilang gustong temperature. But si Yersinia, okay lang sa kanya kahit malamig or sobrang init. 4 degrees to 43 degrees Celsius, kayang mabuhay ni Yersinia. Yan ang characteristic niya that separates it from the rest of the Enterobacteriaceae. So, the first bacteria is the Yersinia pestis. For the Yersinia pestis naman class, to separate this one from the rest of the Yersinia, you may perform what they call the bipolar staining. Kapag bipolar staining class, pinapatakan mo yung bacteria ng methylene blue or Wasson stain. And then, the blue dye will deposit on the separate end of the bacteria, making it look like a safety pin. So mukha daw siyang safety pin kasi yung color blue, nag-deposit siya sa magkabilang dulo ng kanyang bacteria. Kaya nga naman mukha siyang safety pin. Okay? Now, so paano ka magkakaroon ng bibo ng Yersinia pestis? Nagkakaroon ka class ng Yersinia pestis kapag nakagat ka ng flea coming from a rat. Okay? So yung daga, meron siyang flea, kakagatin ka. Ang tawag dyan ay bubonic plague. Okay? So kapag bubonic plague, anong mangyari sa'yo? Doon sa area kung saan ka kinagat, magkakaroon ka ng kulani doon. Okay? Tapos yung kulani na yan, magiging purplish hanggang magkakaroon ka ng mga black spots on your skin. Ang tawag doon ay buboes. Kasi nga kumakalat siya sa lymph nodes mo, sa lymphatic duct mo. Okay? Kaya nga naman yung balat mo, meron siya mga black spots. Ang tawag ay buboes. Those are the swollen lymph nodes. Now, again, you can get that from the bite of the rat flea. Okay? Yung isa naman, the pneumonic plague. Kapag pneumonic plague, nakukuha mo ito from inhaling yung mga droplets coming from the rats. Okay? Droplets coming from the rats or ingesting the undercooked meat. Possible magkaroon ka ng pneumonic plague. Okay? Kapag pneumonic plague naman, class, ito yung delikado kasi nga, class, respiratory infection ka agad-agad. Nasingot mo siya, di ba? Diretso sa lung that can lead to respiratory failure. Okay? Or lung failure. Yan ang characteristic ni pneumonic plague. So, delikado siya. It is fatal. Diba? The infection can be fatal. So, nakalagay dito, pneumonic plague, this form of the plague is also rapidly fatal. Kasi nga, diretso siya sa lungs. You're able to inhale the droplets ng mga rats na infected. Okay? That is the pneumonic plague. Next is the enterocolitica. So for the enterocolitica naman, class, it is known to cause enterocolitis. Kapag enterocolitis, meron ka abdominal pain, and then the pain looks like appendicitis. Kaya tinawag siyang appendicitis-like syndrome. They may present clinically as appendicitis kasi nga sobrang sakit ng tiyan mo. But besides the pain in the abdomen, meron ka parang fever, diarrhea, di ba? And mesenteric lymphadenitis. So it looks like appendicitis. Kaya tinawag na appendicitis-like syndrome. Okay, yan ang Yersinia enterocolitica. So anong characteristic ng Yersinia enterocolitica? Saan mo siya makikita? Makukuha mo siya, class, from eating contaminated food such as pork, yung mga imported na mga karne, yung mga meat, beef, lamb, chicken na preserved. Okay, doon mo siya possible na makuha. The Yersinia enterocolitica. Okay? So anong kanyang characteristic? You can culture it on the CIN agar. Sa CIN agar, meron siyang characteristic na bullseye colony. That is for Yersinia enterocolitica. Again, for the Yersinia enterocolitica, meron kang bullseye colony on the CIN agar. CIN agar. Okay? Now, for the pseudotuberculosis naman, class, nakukuha mo ito sa mga birds, sa mga chickens, birds. Ito ang kanilang mga natural na reservoir. Okay? What will happen to you? Magkakaroon ka ng tinatawag na caseous swelling called pseudotubercles on your body. So, nakalagay dito, for the pseudotuberculosis, it causes infection similar to that with the Yersinia enterocolitica. However, meron kang characteristic na pseudotubercles in your body. Okay? Itong mga pseudotubercles na yan, those are infiltrates of bacteria that you can find in your lungs and also in your blood. Okay? Now again, you can get this through exposure sa infected animal, tulad ng mga chicken, turkey, geese, pigeon. Okay? Mga birds. Okay? So, it has a condition similar kay enterocolitica. So magkakaroon ka rin ng sepsis with mesenteric lymphadenitis that looks like appendicitis, just like the enterocolitica. Okay? So anong difference niya to Yersinia pestis? You can differentiate that by seeing the motility at room temperature. It is motile at room temperature. It produces urease and it can ferment rhamnose. That is a characteristic of your pseudotuberculosis. Okay? So that is just the lesson for today. Hanggang doon lang muna, class, for the Enterobacteriaceae. Now, for next week, magdi-discuss ako nung second part of the Enterobacteriaceae, yung lab diagnosis. And then after that, may quiz tayo, class. So yung quiz natin dito, next week pa sa ating klase. Kasi kapag nagpa-quiz ako dito, magkakasama yung lab diagnosis. Again, naaralin nyo siya kasi nga, class, 40% of your exam sa midterm will be focused on the Enterobacteriaceae. So, kailangan, class, ma-identify mo anong bacteria. So, lalabas namin dyan, positive, negative, anong bacteria yan, okay? Or, yung tanong namin, anong next test ang gagawin? Or, ano yung mali sa mga resulta? Ganun yung lalabas ng mga tanungan. Kaya you really have to study this topic, ha? Kailangan nyo talaga siyang i-memorize. Again, sana nag-take note kayo, kasi nga, kung lahat i-memorize mo, baliw ka na, di ba? Ang sabi ko, i-memorize mo lang yung mga distinguishing characteristic na tinuro ko kanina. Okay? Okay. So, yun lang naman, class. Next week na lang tayo mag-quiz, after yung lecture ko about lab diagnosis.